When I was 18, my dad beat me up and left me on the side of the road because I wouldn't give up my future. This family makes you who you are. He spit. I called the police and never went home again. 3 years later, I went back to see him. Okay. Reddit. 3 years ago, something happened. I'm a 21-year-old man named Blake. Life is fantastic now, but that night still haunts me, so I'm writing it down for good. In March, I turned 18. In April, I was paying $400 a month to sleep in the same room I had since I was 6. 3 days after my birthday, Dad sat me down at the kitchen table and told me I had to pay adult rent. $400 a month, due on the first of the month, in cash only. There wasn't any food either. Mom sat there and nodded like it was normal. After that, I would leave an envelope on the counter every month before work. Dad would count it in front of me like I was a renter. I worked at an auto parts store since I was 16, and I graduated with a 3.7. I wasn't being lazy. I was saving money to leave. I have had one aim since my second year of high school. Get out. In Ohio, I found a program that will give me a welding certificate. That was very much my way out. You would get a full scholarship, a stipend, and a job right away if you didn't goof up. I sent in my application in January of my last year in high school. 3 weeks before graduation, in May, I got the letter saying I was accepted. I had to read it 3 times before I thought it was true. I told my parents about it at dinner that night, which was a mistake. My mom's face performed that thing when she smiles with her mouth but her eyes go flat. My dad just growled and asked who would help out around the home if I left, like I was an employee. I informed them that the program will commence in 3 months, in August. A lot of time to work things out. Time to make changes. At that point, my sister Jennifer came in. Jennifer was 25 and had just gotten a divorce because she had been found cheating on more than one guy. She moved back into her old room like it was a long-term plan because Miles gained primary custody. In just a week, everything in the house was different. Jennifer didn't clean, cook, or give any money. But for some reason, she had an opinion on everything. She would eat my food, interfere with my laundry, and complain about my TV as Braden screamed at 7 a.m. when he was there. Then, right away, the request for babysitting came in. I need you to keep an eye on Braden tonight. I have a customer. You have to get him from Miles's. Please keep him on Saturday. You need to take him to the doctor. I assisted him the first few times because he's my nephew and I'm not mean. I didn't mind spending time with him when Jennifer really needed help. But she didn't need any aid. She needed someone to help her. Take care of Braden. Pick him up, bring him here, and watch him. At first, I assisted because he's my nephew, but then she started using me as a built-in babysitter. She would ask for 2 hours and then leave for 6, and if I inquired where she was, she would become mad. Don't you dare tell me what to do, little brother, she would say. The worst day was a Tuesday in early June. Jennifer asked me to keep an eye on Braden for 2 hours while she met with a client. I answered yes, but I had to go to work at the auto parts store at 4 o'clock. She said she will be back by 3:30. It was 3:30. No Jennifer. I called her 6 times. Straight to voicemail. I didn't text anything. I was in a panic by 3:50. I couldn't leave a 3-year-old alone, and I couldn't take him to work. I called Doug, my boss, and informed him there was a problem with my family. He wasn't happy, and I could feel that my dependability was starting to look fragile. Jennifer showed there at 7:30, which was more than 4 hours late. She came in with shopping bags and didn't even say sorry. She just said that traffic was awful and her phone died. I informed her that she would cost me a shift and almost my job. She rolled her eyes and told me I was being overdramatic. That was the term she liked best. And my parents, well, they let it all happen. Mom would add, "Your sister is having a hard time, and family helps family." Dad would mumble about how great men step up when their family needs them. They never asked their beloved daughter to do anything for them. Meanwhile, I was 18, paying rent, working 20+ hours a week at the parts store, trying to save for my future, and being treated like the household staff. There was a deadline for the scholarship program. I had to affirm that I was going to school by July 15th and get to Ohio by August 20th. Housing was set up, but I had to sign the papers. The stipend would start when school started, but I'd need to save up money to fill the gap. I could do this. I simply had to make it through the next 3 months without my family ruining everything. So I started to get ready in secret. I printed out my papers, signed what I needed to, and put the essentials in a place where no one would see. I kept my head down, did my work, paid my rent, and counted the days until I could leave. It was a Thursday night in early July that the intervention took place. After a long day at work, I got home about 6 o'clock. It seemed strange that Braden's booster seat was in Jennifer's car when it was supposed to be Miles's week. She must have gotten him up early. When I stepped in the front door, all 3 of them were sitting in the living room like vultures, waiting for me. We need to talk about this Ohio situation. Dad, Mom, and Jennifer. Dad talked about Ohio like it was a cancer I had. I put my keys on the counter and stayed standing. I wasn't going to sit down and get stuck in a planned ambush. There's nothing to say. I have made sure I had a spot. That was right. I had mailed the confirmation of enrollment the week before since I could sense something was approaching. I had filled out the housing papers. I told the manager at the parts store that August 15th would be my last day. Everything was set in stone. Mom leaned forward with that gentle boy who was trying to get her to do anything. We've been chatting, and we think it might be best if you wait a year or 2, till Jennifer gets back on her feet. I stared at Jennifer. She kept swiping through her phone like this conversation wasn't important to her. Gets back on her feet. How? She doesn't have a consistent job. She doesn't pay her rent. Most of the time, she doesn't watch her own baby. What's the plan? Jennifer's head jerked up. I'm sorry? I'm starting a business. You have no idea how hard that is. You have no concept what I'm going through. Do you know how hard it is for me to be a single mom? Yes, but you like being single without your mom. I shot back. She didn't like that. I went back to my parents. You want me to give up a full scholarship and stipend, as well as the program's job placement pipeline, so I can watch your kids and keep paying you rent while Jennifer finds new restaurants? Dad's jaw got tight. He had that expression on his face that says he's about to give a lecture. First of all, be careful with your tone. Second, this isn't about watching kids. This is about being responsible. This is about you believing you're too good to help when we need it. I kept my voice level. I've been helping for 3 months straight, and I pay $400 a month to live in my old bedroom. Jennifer doesn't pay anything. She doesn't help at all. And you want me to give up my future so she may keep doing nothing? Mom's eyes filled with tears. Her complete support system has been taken away from her. Her marriage, her home, and her stability. She is hurting Blake. She needs us to help her. I lost it. That's her fault. She destroyed her own marriage. So please forgive me if I don't feel sorry for her. You might want to let her deal with the consequences this time. The room was completely quiet. Jennifer even stopped. She got up, her face red, and started to scream. About how I was a bratty young kid who didn't know how to deal with adults. About how I couldn't know what it was like to be in a true relationship because I had never been in one. That Miles was domineering and not there for her emotionally, and that she deserved to be happy. Dad pointed at me. Say sorry to your sister now. I didn't say sorry. I went to my room and locked the door. I could hear them conversing in the kitchen for the next hour. Dad's voice was quiet. Mom was saying yes in that quiet voice she uses when she agrees with him without stating anything clearly. Jennifer was in tears. Most likely trying to get compassion. I sent an SMS to my best friend Mason. Things are getting worse here. Family attack tonight. If I don't get in touch with you by tomorrow night, something went wrong. I mean it. Mason and I had been buddies since we were in 7th grade. We've done everything together. Everything. School, summer employment, and video games. His folks were kind people. His dad used to be an electrician, but now he works as a consultant. His mom worked at the library and prepared the finest meatloaf I had ever tasted. I spent half of high school at their place. Mason quickly answered, "What do you need?" I thought about it for a second and then wrote down a strategy. If I send you the word fine in all caps, that signifies I'm not fine. Call me twice if I don't answer you for more than 3 hours during the day. If I still don't answer, call your dad and start looking for me. Got it? Share your location, he wrote back. I turned on location sharing. He said he could see me on the map. After that, he sent his dad's number in another message. I put the number in my phone. That was the smartest thing I'd ever done. It turned out. 2 days later, on a Saturday afternoon, my dad knocked on the door to my room. His voice was different, softer, almost kind. The tone of voice I hadn't heard from him in years. Hey, can we chat? Only us. Man to man. I believe we started out on the wrong foot the other night, and I want to make things right. My gut told me that this was a trap, but a small, dumb part of me still wanted to believe that my dad could be sensible. That he might really say sorry for the ambush. That maybe we could figure things out so that I could leave for Ohio without ruining all of my family relationships. My dad was a jerk. Yes, but wow, I never thought he would go that far. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I opened the door. He told us to take a drive. He said that when he was moving, he always thought better. Said he wanted to talk about some things without Mom and Jennifer around to get upset. It's just 2 guys talking. I picked up my phone and checked the battery. It was at 12%, which should be enough for a short drive. Even though it was July, I put on my jacket because the weather had been strange all week. We got into his truck. The sky has been getting worse all day. Clouds are piling up in the west. The radio reported that there would be a severe thunderstorm warning for the county starting around 7 or 8 p.m. We left the driveway at about 4:30. About 20 minutes into the journey, Dad drove off the main road and headed away from town into the countryside, where the buildings were few and the farmland spread as far as the eye could see. I inquired, "Where are we going?" "Just driving," he said, keeping his eyes on the road. His voice was still kind, but there was something else there now. "Blake, I want you to know something. This family has done everything for you. A roof over your head, food on the table, and a place to land when you needed it. And now that we need you to step up, you want to go for Ohio like it doesn't matter. But I've been paying rent since I was 18. I have a job. I get my own food. I do more for this house than Jennifer does. That's not enough for me. That's making me pay to be a part of my own family." He gripped the driving wheel tighter. "We could have asked you for more money. We could have kicked you out when you were 18. Some parents do that, but we didn't because family takes care of family and family involves giving up something." At first, the rain was light and only speckled the glass. Then it got heavier and harder until the wipers couldn't keep up. We were now on a county road that didn't have any lines drawn on it and didn't have much of a shoulder. There were only cornfields and a barn here and there. I looked at my phone. 1 bar of signal, then none. "Please turn around, Dad. The storm is growing worse. You can't go until you know what you're about to throw away." He turned left into a gravel lane that led to an old grain elevator. It was the kind of facility that probably hadn't been utilized in years. There were no lights, no other cars, and all I could hear was the rain hitting the windshield and the wind shaking the truck. "I want to go home, Dad." He didn't say anything. He twisted in his seat, face flat, and reached across the console. He grabbed my jacket collar before I could do anything. I tried to pull away, but he was 60 pounds heavier than me and had been doing hard work his whole life. He pushed me into the door of the passenger seat. I hit my head on the window. He punched me twice in the ribs when I put my hands up. Planned and controlled. I couldn't get any air. The pain came on quickly and was very bad. I started to open the door, but he grabbed my arm and pulled it back firmly. He took my phone out of my jacket pocket and looked at the screen. There is no signal and 7% battery left. He threw it into the ditch and the weeds, where I wouldn't be able to find it in the dark. Then he leaned over me, opened the door, and pushed me out. I hit the gravel hard with my hands first, then my knees. Rain gets through right away. I looked up and saw that his taillights were already fading into the distance. No words, no speech, simply gone. I was about 40 meters from home. Afterward, I looked at a map. I didn't have my phone or wallet with me because I had left them on my dresser. My ribs hurt every time I breathed. The storm is becoming worse by the minute. For the first 10 minutes, I just sat in the dirt trying to figure out what had occurred. My own dad had just hit me and abandoned me in the middle of nowhere in a storm. Like I was trash. As if I were nothing. Still, I looked for my phone. Crawled around in the ditch for a while. Hands in the dirt. Rain pounding on my back. Did not find it. He knew what he was doing. Sharing your location was pointless now. It just displayed my final ping close to home before the service went out. After the phone was thrown away, it was merely a broken piece of plastic in a ditch. I had to go. Being here wasn't going to help anything. I chose a direction and began to walk. There were no streetlights, no houses in either direction, just fields, rain, and darkness on the county road. I had to walk on the gravel edge and jump into the ditch when a car went by, which didn't happen very often. Maybe once every 10 to 15 minutes. The headlights would blind me, and then they would be gone. The storm took the tail lights away. No one stopped. I probably appeared like a mad person or a drowned rat wandering down the path. It hurt to move. The ribs hurt the worst, but my whole body was starting to hurt. I walked for more than an hour, maybe even 90 minutes. It's hard to keep track of time when all you're doing is putting one foot in front of the other and trying not to fall. Finally, I noticed lights up ahead. A place for trucks to stop. A massive location that is open 24 hours a day and has a petrol station and a diner. When I opened the door, the warmth hit me like a wall. When the person behind the counter saw me, his countenance altered. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help? I need to borrow a phone. Mine is dead." He gave me his phone without asking any questions. I called Mason's dad. He answered on the third ring. "Hey, Mr. Henson, it's Blake. Something took place. I'm at Miller's Travel Center, which is a truck stop. Stay inside. Stay warm. We're on our way." He hung up the phone. The cashier gave me coffee and let me sit in a booth. Mason and his dad came in about 45 minutes later. When Mason saw me, his face turned white. "First, we're heading to the hospital, and then to the police station." He sat down in front of me. "Tell me all about it." I told them everything. Everything. Mr. Henson nodded once when I was done. "We are going to do this the proper way. First, get the medical records. After that, we write a report. After that, we decide what to do next. But for tonight, you're with us. Understood?" "Yes, sir." It took over 4 hours to get to the ER. They took x-rays and found that I had 2 bruised ribs on my left side. Not broken, but close. They took pictures of the bruises on my torso, the one on my arm where he grabbed me, and the scrapes on my wrists, knees, and forehead. They looked for signs of a concussion and thought I probably had a mild one, but I didn't need to go to the hospital. The nurse who took the pictures was kind and professional. It was evident that she had done this before. She labeled it a domestic situation, which is a polite way of saying that family members hurt each other. She gave me copies of everything and a report number, and she said that if I needed the documents for legal reasons, I could get them. After the ER, we headed to the sheriff's office. It took another 2 hours to write the report. I told the deputy everything. He wanted to know if I wanted to file a complaint. I agreed. He said that the district attorney's office would look over the case. They couldn't promise an arrest that night, but the report, along with the ER photographs and paperwork, made it stronger. He gave me a case number, a card with the name of a victim's advocate on it, and cautioned me not to go home alone. It was almost 3 in the morning when we went at Mason's house. Mrs. Henson had stayed up. She didn't ask me anything. She just hugged me and led me to the guest room. I slept for 12 hours without waking up. The next 3 days were a jumble of legal and logistical issues and attempting to figure out what had happened. I couldn't go back to my parents' house, but all of my things were there. My clothes, my laptop, my papers, my savings, and my cash are all stashed in my closet. All of my things. Mr. Henson understood what to do. The process was known as a civil standby. You ask the sheriff's office for it. Officers go with you to get your things. They keep the peace and make sure no one gets in the way. We set it up for 4 days following the event. Gave my ribs a little time to feel better. Let the bruises truly grow into beautiful purple and yellow imprints. At 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, 2 deputies came to my parents' house. I was hoping my dad's truck would be gone, and it was. I didn't know if he had been arrested, warned, or what, but it was simpler without him. There was a car in the driveway that belonged to my mom. With police on either side of me, I walked up to the front door. Mason and his dad stayed beside the car to see what happened. My mom opened the door. Her face swung from astonishment to uncertainty to panic and then to that phony concern she does so well. "Hey Blake, what's going on? What brings the police here? I'm come to pick up my things. I'm not going to stay. This is a civil standby." She tried to stop people from coming in. She spoke softly and begged. He didn't really mean it. "You know how your dad can be sometimes. We can figure this out. You don't have to let outsiders inside your family business." One of the deputies walked up. "He has the right to have his things back. Please get out of the way so he can come in." She got up and followed me to my room, where she talked the whole time I packed. The deputy had already told me. 15 minutes. Get the basics. Don't respond to anything they say. Extraction that is clean. I had a list in my head. The lockbox in my closet has my birth certificate. Card for Social Security. The binder that has my Ohio papers in it. My laptop and charger, clothes that fit in 2 duffel bags, work boots and PPE. The cash I had concealed in a book on my shelf, approximately $800 in savings, tools I had bought with my own money, and receipts still in the cases. Mom wouldn't stop talking. About how I was overreacting and how families argue sometimes. About how I would regret this. I didn't say anything in response. About halfway through, Jennifer came into the hallway. Her face turned ugly when she saw the deputies. "You told the police about Dad. Are you really serious? Do you know what this will do to our family? I kept putting things in boxes. You're so over the top. He hardly touched you. You act like he tried to get in touch with you." One of the deputies told her to move back. She didn't pay attention. They just kept going, calling me names, saying I was ruining everything, and stating that I had always been the problem in this family and that this only proved it. The deputy stated more firmly this time. You need to relax, or we'll have to talk about something else." After that, she stopped talking, but the look she gave me could have melted steel. I finished packing and went through the house one last time to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything crucial. I stopped at the kitchen counter and put down my house key. My mother began to cry. The victim's performance. I left via the front door and climbed into Mr. Henson's automobile without looking back. The next 6 weeks were the hardest and most significant of my life. I stayed with Mason's folks till I went to Ohio. Even though I tried several times, they wouldn't allow me pay rent. Mrs. Henson remarked, "You're 18 and going through something awful. Save your money. You're going to need it." Mr. Henson helped me open a new bank account at a credit union that my parents didn't belong to. Mason took me to and from work because my car was technically registered in my dad's name and I didn't want to deal with any problems. I told the auto parts store that I would be leaving in 2 weeks. My boss didn't ask me too many questions. He only replied that he had heard something about family problems and that he would give me a nice recommendation if I ever needed one. That was very important. My family started bothering me right away. At first, my mom texted me using her usual number. Long texts about how frightened she was, how she couldn't sleep, and how the family was coming apart. After I banned her number, she started contacting me from different phones. I lent it to friends and got a prepaid. Always the same tone, begging and making you feel bad at the same time. "What are you doing to us? Do you not love your family anymore? Your dad is also in pain." She also sent monkeys that flew. An aunt I hadn't talked to in years called to tell me I was being mean and hurting my mother's feelings. A cousin sent me a message on Facebook stating he heard I had my dad detained. And did I know what that would do to his work and his reputation? I kept everything. Every text, every voicemail, and every communication. The victim's advocate informed me that paperwork is important, especially if things get worse. My dad never called me directly. Later, I learned that his lawyer had told him not to talk to me at all while the investigation was going on. The case against the culprit moved slowly. It took the DA's office weeks to look over everything. The investigator who was in charge of my case talked to me twice. Once shortly after I filed the report and again approximately a month later. He noted that situations of abuse between family members were hard. Without witnesses, it often came down to physical evidence and trustworthiness. My recorded injuries were helpful. The medical records were useful. My tale stayed the same, which helped. In the end, they gave my dad a plea deal. Misdemeanor assault, mandatory anger management programs, 2 years of probation, and no jail time. He took it since challenging it would have meant going to court and being looked at more closely. It wasn't the fair thing I wanted. I wanted him in a cell, but it was something. It was a record that would stay with him. He didn't go to jail, but he did lose the one thing he really cared about. Control, reputation, and the image of the guy he pretended to be. 2 months after I had already started the program in Ohio, I got the news about the plea deal. Ohio was actually a good place. The program was quite hard. In the mornings, students study about metallurgy, how to interpret blueprints, safety rules, and welding theory in the classroom. In the afternoons, they practice running beads and learn different techniques. At night, I did homework and studied for certification tests. It was a lot, but I was ready for it. For years, I had been going to school and working at the same time. This was just like the others. But now I was learning something that was important to me. My roommate was a man from Kentucky named Devon. Not a loud kid. He didn't say much, but he always had coffee ready by 6 a.m. He never said anything when I got back late from the training lab. We got along by not getting in each other's way, which was just what I needed. The first year I lived quite cheaply. Peanut butter sandwiches, ramen when I was feeling sophisticated, and rice and beans. I got a used car from someone else in the program. It ran rough, but it ran, and that's all that counted. I took a work on the weekends at a hardware store close to university. Not a lot of hours, but enough to steadily build up my savings again. I was getting by with the stipend and the part-time job. Barely, but still alive. The paid internship began in the 6th month. A fabrication shop that built parts for farm equipment and did industrial welding. They worked 40 hours a week and did the rest of their schoolwork at night. I was always tired. My hands were rough. I was in pain in my back, yet I was the happiest I had ever been. About 4 months in, it clicked. We took a practical test. Position 3G for vertical upweld. The instructor is observing you with a clipboard. A lot of the boys in class were nervous. Hands shaking, beads coming out rough or with a hole in them. I put up my plate, checked my settings, hit the arc, and let everything else go quiet. A steady hand and a steady tempo of travel. I wanted the puddle to form and flow exactly where I wanted it to. The teacher looked at my bead for a long time after I was done. He then nodded once and scribbled something down on his clipboard. That's a pass. Good job. That word meant more to me than anything my dad had ever said since I had worked hard for it. Throughout all of it, Mason and I kept in touch. We could video call on the weekends when we weren't working. He was going to community college back home and getting certified in HVAC. He was still living with his parents but saving money. His dad also checked in from time to time. Text messages that are short. I hope everything is going well. If you need anything, just let me know. After roughly 8 months, the familial harassment stopped. I guess they finally figured out that I wasn't coming back. Or maybe they just discovered something else to pay attention to. The communications stopped no matter what. The monkey that flew halted. The quiet was nice. I did quite well on the program. Got a full-time job at a factory in Columbus. The internship was with a different company, but this one is bigger. More money. Pros. The kind of job that gets better over time. I moved into my own studio apartment and it felt like bliss. I got my furnishings from thrift stores. For 3 months, I slept on a mattress on the floor until I could buy a bed frame. I planned every dollar like it was my last chance to live. For a while, it really was. Things got better slowly. The paychecks got bigger. The money saved grew. The score on the credit went raised. I got a used truck that was still in good shape. It took 18 months to pay it off. I began dating Cassie, who worked in hospital administration. Funny and smart. I finally informed her about my past, and she never criticized me for it. Your dad seems like a narcissistic control freak. Thank goodness you left. I'm so proud of you, she commented once. About a year after I did, Mason went to Ohio. Got a job doing HVAC installation at a commercial company. We split a 2-bedroom apartment for a while until he got his own place. Still grabbed dinner most weeks. Still had each other's backs. 3 years after my father left me on that road, I was 21 with a stable career, my own apartment, a reliable vehicle, and people in my life who actually gave a dang about me. Not bad for a kid who was supposed to learn his place. The call that changed everything came on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was at work when my phone buzzed. Number back home, area code I recognized but didn't have saved. Something made me answer. Blake, it's your cousin Tessa. I know we haven't talked in forever, but something weird happened. I need a quote on some custom fabrication work for a project and your company came up in my search. Then I saw your name in the employee directory. Small world, right? Tessa was my mom's brother's daughter. We'd been close when we were little kids, drifted apart as teenagers when our family stopped getting together as much. She'd never been part of the harassment campaign after I left. She'd stayed neutral, which in my family counted as loyalty. We talked business for a few minutes. Her project was legitimate. Some custom brackets for a renovation she was managing. I told her I'd get her a quote and forward it to her email. Then she went quiet for a second. Hey, I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but things got really bad back home after you left. Like really bad. I leaned back in my chair. Go ahead. It came out in pieces. She wasn't trying to guilt-trip me or advocate for anyone. She was just telling me what happened because she thought I should know. After my case went public, even though it was just a misdemeanor, people in town found out. Small community. Word travels. My dad's employer didn't fire him, but they definitely pushed him to the side, passed him over for promotions he should have gotten, made his life uncomfortable enough that he eventually took early retirement, which meant reduced benefits. His reputation at church took a hit, too. Some people stopped talking to him. Some of the guys he'd known for 20 years started keeping their distance. He'd always been the type to care deeply about what people thought of him. Being seen as the man who beat his son and left him in a storm was not the image he'd cultivated. Then about 18 months ago, he had a stroke. Not a massive one, but bad enough to affect his mobility on the left side. Doesn't work right. Leg drags. Speech is slurred when he's tired. He had to stop working completely. Disability covers some of the bills, but not all of them. My mom went back to work part-time at a grocery store to make ends meet. And Jennifer lost custody completely about a year ago. Miles had been keeping records of everything. Every missed visitation, every time she dumped Braden on someone else, every inconsistency in her schedule. The judge looked at the pattern and decided she wasn't a reliable parent. Gave Miles full custody with supervised visitation only. After that, she moved to Arizona with some guy she met online. Barely kept in contact with anyone back home. Basically abandoned her kid. So, your mom is alone taking care of your dad, Tessa said. And your sister is gone and your dad is just broken. I guess, physically and otherwise. I thanked her for telling me. Told her I'd send that quote over by end of day. We said goodbye and hung up. I sat at my desk for a long time thinking about what she'd told me. Not feeling sorry for them. Not feeling vindicated either. Just thinking. 2 days later, my mom called. I almost didn't answer, but I figured I might as well hear what she wanted. Her voice was older than I remembered. Tired. After 3 minutes of awkward talk, she finally said it. Blake, honey, I know I have no right to call after everything, but your father isn't doing well. Some days he can hardly walk. He can hardly speak. It's really hard to accomplish everything by myself. I was just thinking that you might be able to come over. We might be able to start over. Forget about the past. I waited a few seconds before answering to let the silence last. You said I was overreacting when I had bruised ribs. Mom, be quiet. Blake, you sent family members to make me feel bad and tried to hide what your spouse did to your own son. And now that he's unwell, you want to forget about everything that happened. She began to cry. I never intended any of this to happen. Your dad just has a short fuse. He didn't want to hurt you. It got out of control. He beat me up and then took me 40 miles from home and abandoned me in a storm. You're still lying. More tears. Then the real reason for the call came out. We're having a hard time, Blake. The bills for the house, the medicines, and the medical care. We could really need your help, even if it's just a little bit, till we get back on our feet. You have a nice job now. You're doing great. I'm sure your heart won't let you see us in pain like this, right? We're family. There it was. After 3 years of stillness, the first serious communication was a request for money. There was no good apologies. No, Blake, please. We're your mom and dad. You can't just leave us when we need you. You leave me first. I won't give you any money. I'm not offering you anything. I don't owe you anything. I hung up. That night was different. Yes, I shed a few tears. I was angry. That old memory I had been trying to forget came back to me. Cassie saw me sitting alone in the bedroom and knew right away. What happened, Blake? Nothing, sweetheart. Something got into my eye. Of course. I'm not stupid. What is it? So, I told her the short story. She just hugged me and held on tight. No words. And to be honest, that was precisely what I needed. A week later, I made a choice. I drove back to my hometown because I needed to close the door for myself. He had finished his probation a few months ago. There is no more active or contact order. There was nothing in the law that could stop me from showing up. Mason came along with me. We borrowed his truck and went on a day excursion. I didn't notify my mom we were coming. The house looked worse than I thought it would. The paint is coming off the trim. The lawn is spotty and too long. Everything in the place seemed worn out. I knocked on the door, and my mom opened it. In the 3 years since I last saw her, she looked like she had aged 15 years. Her hair is gray, there are creases around her eyes, and she is thinner than she used to be. Blake. Her eyes got big. You came. She leaned out to touch me, and I moved back. There was a moment of silence. I'm not going to stay. I came to see him. She nodded her head. Took me through the house to the back bedroom. Basically, they turned it into a hospital room. Tools for medicine. The stench of being unwell. I helped my dad sit up in bed. His left arm was bent against his chest. The blanket made my left leg unusable. The stroke made his face look thinner, grayer, and droopier on one side. He looked at me with wide eyes. Blake. I was standing at the foot of the bed. Didn't get any closer. He tried to get up but couldn't. He held on to the bed sheet with his good hand. He made an effort to speak. I didn't give him a chance. Don't get too tired. You are already fatigued. Son, please just listen to me. He could hardly say the words. I'm so sorry. I wish I hadn't done anything. Keep it. I don't want your apologies, and I know I'll never forgive you. He couldn't even answer when the tears started to fall. My mom was also crying outside the door. I stared at each of them and didn't feel anything. I wished you were different my whole life. I wish you would treat me like your son. I kept my voice steady, but you didn't. You acted like I was your servant. You wanted me to know where I stood, and I did. I stopped for a moment to let it sink in. You can't see the man you made me become anymore. I walked away since he didn't say anything. At the door, my mom tried to stop me. He is still your father? Isn't there a way you can forgive? He chose. I did too. I walked outside and got into Mason's truck. There wasn't much noise on the way back to Ohio. About halfway, we stopped at a truck stop to get gas and dinner. Mason wanted to know whether I was okay. I meant what I said when I said I was. Please subscribe if you like this video. It definitely helps the channel and us get you more and better stories. Thanks.